After looking through the variables, I decided I want to go with this locale variable, urban, suburban, rural. Notice that it is a nominal variable. You should choose a different one than this. Any other nominal variable will do. And notice this part before the underscore here. This is the actual variable name. So by urban. I'm now going to go to the codebook. You can get a link in the instructions. And once I'm in this codebook, I'm going to do a Control F to do a search, and I'm going to type that variable name in, by urban, and there it is. So this is the by urban. It tells me a little bit about the school, but most importantly, it tells me what each of those numbers represents. So 1 is urban, 2 is suburban, 3 is rural. And we can also see, by the way, the percents here. We can see that suburban is almost half of the students, but we're going to create a graph to display that. So 1 is urban, 2 is suburban, 3 is rural. Now I'm going to go back to SPSS, and I'm going to write those where it says values for that particular variable. So I'm going to click in there, click on the 3 dots, and the value of 1 was urban. I'm going to add. The value of 2 was suburban. Add that. And the value of 3 was rural. So I'll add that, and I'll click OK. You don't need to add anything for the missing variables because they're already taken care of. Once the labels are in, you can go up to Graphs, Legacy Dialogues, Bar. Leave it as the default here and hit Define. Find your variable in this list. You can always drag this if you need to see it better. I was the by urban, and so I'm going to click that over to my category axis, switch this to percent of cases, and then give myself a title. So this is going to be locale of students. High schools would be a good title for mine. I'm going to continue and hit OK. And that should give me a nice bar graph here. If not, give it another try. Worst case scenario, save your SPSS, close it, open back up. But hopefully that'll work. Feel free to ask me questions too. And then I'm going to right click, copy it, and I'm going to open up the Google Doc. I guess I'll call this SPSS Lab 1. And this would be your name. And then I'm just going to paste that. That was a Control V, or you could right click or Control click and paste this bar chart. Underneath that, I want you to just very briefly, I chose locale because I come from a rural area and am interested to see how common rural students are. So just a 1 or 2 sentence why you chose the variable you chose, and then 1 or 2 sentences just analyzing what you see in this graph. So here, one thing I notice is that suburban looks like almost 50% of students are coming from suburban. So I might say something like, this chart shows us that almost 50% of students come from suburban high schools, and less than 20% come from rural high schools. If you have a chart with several different bars, you don't need to give me a breakdown of each bar. I'm just looking for an overall, very quick, what do you see in this chart? What pops out to you? At least one thing that you notice about the data here.